Tesla just let go of over 10% of their global workforce. That's around 14,000 employees shown the door. Why did they do that? Well, Elon Musk himself has chimed in, explaining that as Tesla expanded like wildfire, some roles started to overlap. But there seems to be internal conflict too, which is not being shown to the media. The big names are heading for the exit. One of the most notable departures is the Vice President of Powertrain, who's stepping down after nearly 2 decades with the company. Now, why are these executives saying goodbye? Well, they said that their paths didn't align, but there's more to this story, so let me break it down for you. What is exactly happening? In short, Tesla is laying off workers in huge amounts. Why? Because their sales are going down spectacularly. And the competition? Well, with all these new electric cars rolling out from other automakers, Tesla's been dealt a tough hand, especially in massive markets like China, where rival brands are vying for the spotlight. So what is the result of this? A squeezing Tesla's sales and shrinking market share. You see, when sales start to dip and more competitors join the race, it's like a ripple in a pond. It affects everything, most critically Tesla's bottom line and its growth plans. To keep its crown as the heavyweight champ of the EV industry, Tesla's got to stay nimble and sharp. These layoffs aren't just about saying goodbye to some employees, they're part of a strategic shift. The grand plan. You can think of these layoffs as trimming the fat to make the company leaner and more agile. With this streamlining, they can cut back on expenses and boost efficiency. The goal? To stay ahead in this rapidly changing game and keep reaping profits as they tackle these challenges head-on. If you've been paying attention, you know that Tesla's been shaking things up with some serious cost-cutting measures. And layoffs are a big part of that game plan. It's like the CEO, Elon Musk, has come to the realization that it's time to take a hard look at every single corner of the company to find ways to trim the fat and streamline operations. He's not just talking a big game. This is all part of a larger strategy to get Tesla's financial health back on track and soaring high like the rockets they're known for. Now, you might be wondering about the impact of these cost-cutting steps. Well, buckle up. The idea is that these layoffs are set to have a beneficial effect on Tesla's financial performance. By cutting back on unnecessary expenses and boosting productivity, think of it like giving a messy room a good spring cleaning. They're aiming to put a little more green in their pockets and juice up their overall stability. But there is a catch. While this strategy might boost the bottom line, it also raises some serious questions about how it will affect the people left behind. Losing team members means risking the departure of not just talent, but also that precious institutional knowledge that can take years to build up. And often, these workers have a unique set of knowledge that will be so valuable to Tesla's rivals. It is like feeding your competition fuel. So, as they chase those numbers, they need to keep a close eye on the impact of their decisions on employee spirits and company culture too. And we're already seeing the impact of this plan. Deliveries. Let's talk about the Cybertruck for a sec, because the shift in Tesla's operational strategy and market dynamics is significantly affecting Cybertruck deliveries. But other factors contribute to this situation, including overwhelming demand and production challenges. I mean, have you seen the figures? Can you believe Tesla's sold out for the entire year of 2024? That's right, if you're dreaming of cruising in a Cybertruck, you're looking at a 2025 delivery date at the earliest. Why the insane popularity? Well, it's not your grandpa's pickup truck, that's for sure. This bad boy's got a design that looks like it drove straight out of a sci-fi movie. It's packed with tech that will make your head spin, and it's got that Tesla stamp of quality. No wonder everyone and the dog wants one. But here's where things get tricky. Tesla's facing some serious production hurdles. You know how sometimes you try to assemble IKEA furniture and end up with extra pieces and a wonky table? Well, imagine that, but with a futuristic electric truck. Elon Musk himself admitted that they're up against enormous challenges in cranking out Cybertrucks at scale. Why? Because this is not your run-of-the-mill pickup. It's like trying to mass-produce a spaceship. It's complicated, it's new, and it's pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Well, at least that's what they say. In reality, this thing is confusing. These shifts are like ripples in a pond, affecting everything from design tweaks to production speeds. It's like trying to bake a cake while someone's rearranging your kitchen. So what does all this mean for you, the eager Cybertruck fan? Well, it's a bit of a mixed bag. On one hand, the hype is real and you're not alone in your excitement. On the other hand, patience is the name of the game. But what is the point if you get something you were thinking you would? Let's start with the reliability issues. You see, the much-hyped Cybertruck has been causing quite a stir, and not in a good way. It turns out there's a serious issue with the accelerator pedal. It's been reported to come loose under heavy pressure. That's not exactly the kind of problem you want in a vehicle, am I right? If that pedal gets stuck while you're cruising down the highway, you could be looking at some serious trouble. Now, you know the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration doesn't mess around when it comes to safety. A recall on the Cybertruck could not only delay production, but also take a real hit on Tesla's reputation for reliability. Remember that time in 2020 when they had to recall 15,000 Model X vehicles? Yeah, if you're Elon now, that is not something you'd want to look at. Now, we have to praise them for one thing. Their reliability compared to the other models right now is top-notch. They score higher than almost all of their competition. It's like they've cracked the code, but there is one thing they haven't solved yet. Repairing. Ever wondered what happens when your futuristic Tesla needs a tune-up? Let me tell you, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. First things first, let's talk money. You know how your wallet feels a little lighter after a trip to the mechanic? Well, with a Tesla, it might feel like it's been on a crash diet. According to RepairPal, Tesla owners are shelling out, on average, $832 a year on repairs. Compare that to the average $652 across all car brands, and you'll see why Tesla owners might be sweating a bit. But what's causing these eye-watering repair bills? Let's break it down. Now, let's talk about the heart of your Tesla, the battery. You see, these powerhouses are built to last, typically hanging in there for 10 to 20 years. But when they do finally call it quits, replacing one could cost you a lot, anywhere from $13,000 to $20,000 just for the battery. And a new set of tires for your Model Y could cost between $195 and $450 per tire. And here's the kicker, because EVs have that instant torque we all love, they tend to wear out tires faster than your grandpa's old Buick. So you might find yourself replacing your tires often. Plus, labor costs for Tesla repairs are high. We're talking about an average of $285 per hour. At those rates, you might start wondering if your mechanic is a neurosurgeon. And now I know what you're thinking, but Teslas are supposed to be low maintenance. And you're not wrong. These electric beauties do typically need less TLC than their gas-guzzling cousins. But when they do need some fix, it can feel like you are better off with the internal combustion engine cars. But let's talk about it in detail. How much does it really cost to keep a Tesla running? The hidden costs. Now, to understand all of this, you need to dig a little deeper. So I did. And what's got my brain doing mental gymnastics? It's the insurance situation with electric vehicles. You see, even if your EV just gets a tiny scratch, insurance companies are throwing their hands up and calling it a total loss. That's crazy, right? But why is this happening? Well, nobody seems to know how to fix these high-tech machines properly. It's like trying to repair a spaceship with a simple wrench. These EVs are packed with so much cutting-edge tech that your average mechanic is left scratching their head, wondering which end of the car to start with. And let's talk numbers. The repair estimates for these futuristic rides are sky-high. In some cases, fixing the car costs almost as much as buying a new one. So what do insurance companies do when faced with this electric enigma? They take the easy way out. Instead of diving into the complex world of EV repairs, they're just waving the white flag. So if you buy a Tesla and get into a little accident, your insurance company most likely won't touch that thing with a 10-foot pole. And when these insurance companies decide to total your EV, they're not giving you enough money to go out and buy another one. Talk about adding insult to injury. You're left with a payout that won't even cover the down payment on a new Tesla. It's like they're saying, here's some pocket change, now go buy yourself a nice bicycle. For them, it's just not worth the headache, the paperwork, or the potential loss. Now, you've got to be wondering, why is no one doing anything about it? Well, let's talk about it, because it's like we're watching a perfect storm brewing in the EV world. The intentions. When you start to think about everything, it starts to make perfect sense, folks. And I've got to tell you, it's not exactly a pretty picture. Let me explain. These days, giant companies all want one thing, and it's control, and sometimes they go a little bit too far to get it. Ever get that creepy feeling like someone's watching you while you're cruising down the highway? Well, your car might actually be spying on you. I know, it sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? But here's the deal. Our rides these days are basically rolling supercomputers. They're tapping into the internet, constantly gathering data like some kind of four-wheeled spy. And I'm not just talking about boring stuff like your oil level. No, we're in deep, folks. Your car, it gets everything on you. Where do you go for that secret 2 a.m. taco run? Check. How you weave through traffic, it knows that too. And get this, it's even capable of eavesdropping on your phone conversations. Talk about a backseat driver, am I right? Now, before you start wrapping your car in tinfoil, let's take a breath. All this data isn't just for kicks. It's actually helping to make our rides safer, smoother, and more entertaining. But, and it's a big but, it also opens a can of worms when it comes to privacy and security. And that, my friends, is the catch. You see, these shiny new vehicles, especially those fancy connected and automated ones, aren't just cars anymore. They're data powerhouses on wheels. And all that juicy data your car's collecting, if it falls into the wrong hands, things could get ugly. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Imagine this nightmare scenario. Your insurance company gets their mitts on your driving data and decides you're more reckless than they thought. Next thing you know, your premiums are higher than gas prices. Or imagine some shady company gets hold of your data and starts using it for who knows what. Suddenly, you're getting ads for brake pads every time you so much as think about stopping at a red light. It's enough to make you want to trade in your smart car for a horse and buggy. And it gets even crazier. This isn't just about you and me anymore. We're talking potential national security issues here, folks. Imagine if all that sensitive data about where government bigwigs are driving falls into the hands of the bad guys. It's like handing over the keys to your enemies. That is why the big guns are on the case. The Federal Trade Commission has been yelling from the rooftop about these risks since way back in 2013. They're like the overprotective parents of the car world, always worried about who's doing what with our data. These FTC folks are pushing for car manufacturers to play it straight with us. They want clear, fair data practices, none of that sneaky fine print nonsense. They're demanding privacy policies so straightforward that even your grandma can understand them. The goal? To make sure we all know exactly what's happening with our data when we're behind the wheel. And get this, in June 2017, the FTC decided to team up with the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. It's like the Avengers of car safety and privacy, coming together to tackle these issues head-on. But why am I telling you this? Because you need to understand how extreme these companies like Tesla are going with to make their cars loaded with tech, even though it's causing their customers a lot of struggle. Well, the answer is simple, my friends. Increasing profits. Have you ever felt like your car was holding you hostage, forcing you to make those dreaded pilgrimages to the dealership for every little hiccup? Well, that's exactly what any giant manufacturer who sold you a product would want you to do. They are betting on the long-term investment you're going to give them. So they use softwares to lock up their cars so that only them and few people who have control over their softwares can repair your car, which means that you'll always be coming back to them. Sure, these new right-to-repair laws are trying to change that. They're building a world where your favorite local mechanic, the one who remembers your name and doesn't charge you an arm and a leg, can actually work on your high-tech wheels. That sounds like the dream, right? These laws are basically saying, it's your car, you should be able to fix it wherever you please. They're aiming to give you and your trusty neighborhood garage all the tools and know-how needed to keep your ride functioning. No more feeling like you need a PhD in rocket science just to fix a small issue. But guess what? The big automakers are throwing a fit that would make a toddler's tantrum look tame. They say these laws are going to unleash chaos on the streets. They're painting doomsday scenarios of hacked cars running amok and safety features going haywire. It's like they think your local mechanic is secretly a supervillain or something. These guys are so worked up, they've even tried to put the brakes on a right-to-repair law in Massachusetts. Can you believe it? It's turned into a full-on wrestling match with your repair options as a championship belt. Now, in one corner, we've got the open source software crowd. These are the folks who believe sharing is caring. They're promising faster upgrades, beefier security, and the kind of cost savings that will make your wallet do a happy dance. But in the other corner, we've got the automakers, clutching their proprietary technology like it's the last slice of pizza at a party. But here's the thing, this is almost part of their survival. Remember when I told you Tesla was trying to trim the fat? They're trying to increase profits, and if they don't do that soon, they'll be in huge trouble because of one crucial thing that is happening in the EV market: price wars. You see, EV makers are offering a lot of price cuts. Tesla's Model Y, the super popular electric SUV, just got a whopping $7,500 price cut. That's right, they've chopped the price tag big time. But it gets even better, because there are those juicy tax credits that could make your wallet even happier. Tesla's practically begging you to drive off in one of those unsold beauties. And they're doing this because everyone is doing it. They need the ones that offer the cheapest options on the market. But that also means cutting down on profits, so they need to somehow amp up their profit margins. And for now, this is the most sustainable way for them. But what is your take on this? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next video.